a pretty crisp start. Mark, I was just going to say, as this match is starting, I spent a bit of time on these courts with some Aussie players preparing for the summer. It's pretty slow. You've got to be able to generate your own pace, and Zverev just showed us on that back end. He can do that beautifully. His racket just stays on the ball for such a long time.
Wally, you're going to have a difficult evening tonight because you're going to have to decide what to call me, either Petch or Mark, because courtside, we've got a mark for the Pousas.
I'll go with Petch.
Hey, Flip.
Hey, guys. That wasn't a bad point to start off the match.
Got a very elastic serve as the Italian. And as you can see, he gets a good bit of pop on it as well. 207 Ks.
I'm going to call that a forehand body serve, and I like it. I don't think we see enough of it. I think the players are so powerful, they're always trying to serve around their opponents, but the body serve has merit.
So I'm going to keep an eye on tonight for sure, is how many times Sonego goes to that forehand with his serve, particularly on the second as well. It sounds counterintuitive to a lot of players to go to a forehand, the potential strength. But it isn't for Zverev necessarily, particularly off the return. He can drop the ball very short with the heavy spin that he has on it, and the Italian loves to attack.
He's got such long limbs, hasn't he, Zverev? It's almost like he needs a bit of time to produce that shot. And I'm not saying there's a hitch in the forehand swing, but it's nowhere near as clean as the double-fisted backhand. Slightly ahead of that final return. And Flip, down there courtside, I'm always struck when I'm sitting where you are, just how, I mean, you were probably the biggest hitter in your day on the court, but I'm just struck by the power that virtually every player has at their disposal these days.
Yeah, I mean, at this, such a great angle from here to see the way the ball's coming off the court, and with the spin, not only the power, but the spin that they're generating on both sides. I mean, there's some big hitting. We are going to see some big hitting, but that last serve was at 215 kilometers an hour, so these boys can bring it.
Representing Team Germany to serve.
He's averaged about a 205 Ks on his first serve throughout the course of this season. He's been bang on 160 Ks on average on his second serve. That one a lot slower, and perhaps just catching Sonego out there in terms of the shortness of it, because it didn't have the pace, and then therefore the height.
Yeah, that jumped. He's got some serious bling around his neck when he plays Zverev, hasn't he? Petch, you've seen more of Zverev throughout 2023 than I have. There's been times in his career where he can actually get the yips on the second serve. I'm sort of assuming that hasn't been the case of late.
I mean, it hasn't been as bad as it was, obviously, during certain periods of sort of 2020, 2021. It's definitely got a little bit better.
Game, Team Germany.
Doesn't often serve them on big points, actually, even when they do come through those double faults. Often starts the game with a couple of loose ones. And the biggest problem that he's ever had is when he actually serves slower. I know, again, it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but he serves more double faults when he's actually down in the 90-mile-an-hour plus sort of range.
Decelerating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he can, I've seen him serve where it lands before the net. He just gets the complete yips, which seems extraordinary for someone this good.
Guys, that's a play that I feel like Sonego's going to have to go to a little bit in this match, because Zverev loves to stay a long way back behind that baseline, and he's going to catch him. That was a good one, but I think we're going to see a bit of those drop shots tonight.
It's an attractive brand of tennis that the 28-year-old brings to a court, Sonego, but not necessarily always the percentage play. Can at times look a little frenetic, and certainly seen him at very pressurized moments in matches offer up unforced errors like that. Hasn't quite mastered the art of allowing his opponent to lose matches rather than him always trying to win it.
And Petch, do you think that's a consequence of the power of the racket string combination as juniors? They don't know what you're talking about. They don't always explore that in their junior years, so they arrive as pros and they haven't really defined their power and their accuracy necessarily. They've got this idea of their very best tennis in their mind, and they strive for it in every match. They don't let the other player lose points or enough points. The great ones do. Djokovic, Nadal, Alcaraz, of course.
Well, I think it's a fair point. I think trying to find and keep your DNA while incorporating that kind of part of the puzzle that you need to break top 20 and possibly even higher is really an art and a skill that not that many players have.
No, and I believe the rackets don't encourage it as a youngster, because they have power on tap at a young age, and you know, it's like it's a toy and I'm going to use it.
Super rally. And he shouldn't be scared to go long with Zverev as well. It's perhaps something that would be a little surprising, but out of the top 8 players that went to Turin at the end of the year, the best of the best, Zverev, who seemingly likes to go long in rallies, actually had the worst record out of all the players there once it went past 9 shots in terms of points won. Only player under 50% of points won out of the 8 that went to Turin.
Well, Flip, you said that's a play he's got to explore, but gee, on the hard courts you got to get it just right, don't you? The bounce is so high.
Absolutely, Wally. It's got to be perfect. The bounce up so high, but he moves so well. And it's one thing I don't think we talk about enough. Is he's a tall guy. He's limbs everywhere. Gosh, does he move well around the court? Uses his height to his advantage.
That's a point that I was kind of talking about and alluding to, Wally, from Sonego. In those kind of moments, he's so far inside the court that he's actually lost length to work with, and yet he throws his arm at the ball so hard, trying to create something. If he just moved through it with his weight transference and coaxed the ball down the line, it would be good enough.
Yeah, it's really just changing direction, using the pace. And you're making me smile, Petch, because I work with young players, and I constantly say, you're 2 meters inside the court. You've got less court to hit into. You've got to think about that. But don't you think, too, that's a little bit of a consequence. Zverev has easy power. Sonego, he's got to work for it. He's got to work a little harder for his power. So if you don't get it just right, you know, it's a bit like trying to stripe a golf ball on the tee. You come out of your shoes, something's going to go wrong. Sometimes you've got to be a bit within yourself. But you can see from Sonego's body language that maybe not, that's not his personality, is it? He's busy.
What you want to do with somebody like Zverev, and the use of the drop shot can be important, is pull him closer to the baseline. He likes to ply his trade, as you can see there, back on the about 2 meters behind the baseline. But as a tall guy, if you can get him closer to the baseline to cover the drop shot, you can therefore fire the ball with a bit more depth and get it at a very uncomfortable height for the German. Dodged a few precarious moments in that second service game, did the Italian, but he comes through it with a nice finishing volley. And Italy lead 2-1 after a quarter of an hour. Nice smile on his face as he takes a short walk, and we're going to take just a little drive, just a mere 4 miles or 7 kilometers east of the Sydney CBD. And Wally, one of the most, if not the most, iconic beach here in Sydney.
Well, I'm a little biased, Petch, because I live in Manly on the north side. It's sort of the north side equivalent of Bondi, but no, that is an absolutely iconic beach. Bondi, hugely popular with locals and tourists alike. And is it Bondi Rescue, I guess, is the show that a lot of people may have seen, obviously filmed there. But no, spectacular little piece of the coast right there.
Slightly sad they didn't get you doing the surfing. Let's have a little look at the augmented replay of that last shot. Look at where the ball's landed early on there from Sonego. Don't think that the ball always has to be pinged to your opponent's baseline. Super play from the Italian.
Well, over in the west of the country, it is the women's world #1 who is preparing to kick off the night session at RAC Arena in Perth. Iga Swiatek will be leading the way for Team Poland. They take on Brazil, and it'll be Beatrice Haddad-Maia who is her opponent, coming off a win, of course, yesterday in her first singles rubber. That one coming your way soon. We'll keep you updated as we return to Ken Rosewall Arena in Sydney, where Lorenzo Sonego leads 2-1 in the first set against Alexander Zverev.
Flip, I was just going to ask you that the point in the final game when Lorenzo came in, he played a nice volley, and I know obviously you worked with Tsitsipas for a period of time, but you know, you talk about the drop shot. We know these guys are good from the back of the court, but they've got to be able to transition and win points at the net too. You've got to have a complete game surely going forward.
And it's so easy said, but it's amazing how they just refuse to do something that's different, you know, that they don't feel comfortable with. But I think that's the difference with the mindset of these champions. Like Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner now. In their matches, they're just starting to move forward a little bit more. I mean, when you're hitting the ball that big with that much spin on the ball, you're going to give yourself opportunities to move up into the court. And especially when there's guys standing 3 meters behind the baseline to return a serve, you've got to mix in a serve and volley. Even at times, you know, they're at 30 all the juice. You've got to do something out of your comfort zone and to mix up the play. But it is difficult to do something that they're just not used to and having the confidence to do it.
And then, of course, if they do it once or twice and it doesn't work, they go back into their shell, and you won't see it for another hour or two.
That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing. They'll do it, and they'll, you know, they'll get past. It'll be 2-all in the first set. But I'm like, what about if it's 5-all, 30-all, with that different pressure on? Will they make that pass? And if they do, too good.
Yeah.
(40-15). Game, Team Germany.
Step dive of some big serving from Sasha, levels things up at 2 apiece. Flip, do you think that's a function of the tour? Talk about how long it is, 11 months. I was reading an article, Raymond Slaughter, saying that the great thing for Elena Svitolina when she came back was that she had 2 months to work on a game, and there's very precious little time for players to be able to actually do what you're talking about.
No, I couldn't agree more, Mike. And if you do meet a play 2 days before a Grand Slam, you can't really work on much. You know, you just got to get them ready for that match. But it's really done, like you said, in the off season, or when you have a couple of weeks. You know, a couple of weeks off, you know, 1 or 2 weeks off where you can work on something for 2-3 days, because sometimes, you know, it might take a couple of days for it to click. Like you said, Mark, I mean, you know, the calendar is so long. You know, the only chance you can sometimes is, you know, if you have a kind of a small injury, nothing too extreme, but it can make it be a blessing as you have, like you said, a few weeks where you can take care of the body, but there's an opportunity to work on something.
Off screen, please. Thank you.
Nobody loves a catch like the Aussies. Safe pairs of hands all around the stadium.
Seen a few of these second serves really kick up high off the court, but Zverev, you know, Flip talked about the long limbs, and he's so tall. What is he, 6'5", 6'6"? I mean, that was almost in his wheelhouse. That was not a bad second serve. Had genuine bite. It hopped up, but right around chest height for Zverev, chest or shoulder height. Couldn't imagine trying to return that with a single-handed backhand.
Well, you'd have just knifed that one down the line.
Yeah, probably knifed it bottom of the net.
Game, Team Italy. Team Italy leads 3-2.
Bit of drama in his last service game, not so much there. Nice little clean holder serve for Lorenzo. 3-2, Team Italy. "11 one-handed backhands in the world's top 100 guys. Is it a functionally extinct shot?"
Flip, what do you think? You had a decent one-hander. How do you see it in the game today?
Look, I hope not. It's you know, it's a beautiful shot to watch as we watch Federer over so many years use it. But you know, if I had my son, he's starting to play tennis. I'm teaching him with two hands on the racket. I think there's definitely advantages to having both hands on the racket. What about both? Could you do both, guys? Start two hands on the returner serve, maybe, and then maybe change it. Would you teach both to a kid? Would that be too much, too confusing?
I would sort of look at like an Andy Murray or a Leighton or a Bernie Tomic, where they've got the two-handed return, but then they've got a great slice.
For Team Germany as they get their United Cup campaign underway. They're in Group D facing Italy tonight, and the Germans hoping to come out with a victory after a loss in the first rubber in the women's singles. And it's now Alexander Zverev hoping to level the playing field up against Lorenzo Sonego of Italy.
Well, I think you'd say that the two-hander for return.
Yeah.
Got to be a massive bonus. Outside of that, there's potential.
Love.
And that serve, it's 194, but it's a slider. It's a 194 slider hit accurately down the centre tee. I mean, that's so within himself, so repeatable. You can see that ball actually just sliding ever so slightly away from Sonego. Gives him the easy reply.
Love.
Just a camera shot there of Zverev's ankle braces. Of course, he suffered that horrific ankle injury, so taking no chances for the rest of his career. Seems pretty bound up. Can't tell, is it a brace or taping?
It's just taping. He lost the actual brace at Monte Carlo this year.
He left it on a bus, or?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably the
he just lost
use of the word lost.
Oh, geez, where did I put that brace?
And they just never use it again.
I really need that.
He couldn't afford another one.
No.
Expensive things. Slice doesn't work great to Zverev as well. Another one of those players that can easily go to the 3,000 RPMs off that forehand side, get the ball up and down very quickly. It's got to be a very aggressive slice into that forehand side. Allensworth in the chair. It looks as though there's a racket being sent away from Team Germany to get restrung.
Love.
Confirmation of that. Did mess around a little bit with his rackets in terms of weight distribution on them when he worked for a time with Ivan Lendl. A little bit more weight into the head of it.
30 love.
And I picked up Ivan's racket back in the day, and man, was that heavy.
There's that movement that Flip was talking about on display again, so big strides, but he sees it early. Like, he's deep in the court, a pretty good shot there. He's stretched, he moves back to the Sydney side. Sees it early, 2 or 3 big strides, and he's got time to take a full-blooded swing. Drop shot has to be just about perfect. He's attempting to serve volley at times, Sonego, but just serving cannons. Can't make a first serve when he has tried to come forward.
Sensational.
I'm going to be a harsh critic. This is a great play. Sees he's on the run. That volley should have been a little better. He parachuted it. but certainly made up for it with a second volley.
Once again, getting after that first serve, particularly when he's going into that backhand side, the more secure wing of Zverev, and that comes off very nicely. Sonego stringing things together very nicely in the opening set, 4-3.
You haven't lost it, Petch.
Never had it, so very difficult to lose something, Wally, that you've never had.
That's about 20 minutes, right, to get this racket restrung, back out on court. Do we know, is Zverev all poly, gut made, or can we tell?
Yeah, I mean, at this start of the season, I'm a little nervous to say. There might have been a few changes at the end of the season, and a lot of players starting to think about maybe changing a little bit of swing weight distribution. You look at somebody like Francisco Cerundolo out there, who's hitting the ball so hard. Players are noticing how effortless that is, and he has an incredibly high swing weight in his racket, up about 380 in there. So I know there's been a few players that will be chopping and changing, but pretty sure he's all poly. But I'm sure we'll get another shot when the cross strings go in. And
meantime, over at the RSC Arena in Perth, the night session is well underway with world number 1 Iga Swiatek taking on Beatrice Haddad-Maia, and that shot putting the women's world number 1 up a break early in the first set.
Well, that one obviously, or they are not new. Not entirely sure what's happened here, but a little bit of confusion out there on the court. There obviously should be new balls coming in. I'm also a big believer here. We talk about tennis and no changes at all. Tennis balls should be changed at a certain time, not at 7 games and 9 games, because 9 games could be 45 minutes long, or it could be 20 minutes long. It's completely different.
So you're saying there should be an arbitrary ball change based on where?
Yes.
Gee, that would be interesting, because there'd be different interpretations from umpire to umpire, wouldn't there?
Well, 25-minute, whatever you think that the maximum optimum wear of a tennis ball is how long you allow it to be in play for.
What if you've got little Diego Schwartzman going, no, I'm loving these balls, they're getting heavier and heavier, and the other guy, the more aggressive player, Maxime Cressy, going, no, give me the new pellets, I want to serve volley.
Well, what's the difference between 7 and 9 on a quick grass court as well? The balls aren't really getting worn. Yeah, it's just one of the things. I think the balls get so worn down, and they're fluffing up even more these days. Everything's getting slower and slower. If you just gave them a shorter period of time to stay newer, it might speed things up.
Petch, for a Wimbledon member, you are getting very, very radical.
Love 15.
this has been good fun to watch. Great creativity once again from the Italian.
And we talked about not going into your shell. Like, he's persisting with the drop shot. It's the right shot to play. It's burnt him a couple of times, but he moved his man deep in the court. Deep to the forehand, short to the backhand. Well done, Sonego. He's come to play. And following it in, I like it. Putting a little pressure on Zverev. He had to hit to a certain part of the court, couldn't manage it. Stares down for land. He's pumped. Love 30, little window right here. He ran himself off the court there, didn't he, Sonego? He was looking for forehands, but the quality of the shot was, it came upon him too quickly, so in the end he'd almost backed himself into the alley. Unfortunate there.
And the last thing you want to do is give Zverev that backhand down the line. I think that's one of the biggest weapons that he has, not only but on the tour. He's got such a beautiful backhand down the line, and you run around that backhand, and if it's not, leave that whole court open if there's nothing behind it.
Gee, that's...
Time violation warning, Team Germany.
I was going to say, he's gone over the shot clock there.
And he's been pushing it close. I'm not sure if Greg actually has given them a little bit of a warning prior to that, or whether he just went full ball straight away.
Got to go full ball, Petch.
Rules are rules, right, Willie?
Rules, yeah. Got to stick to them. I mean, if you're ranked 150, you're getting called straight away. Just because he's 7 in the world, we can't make any exceptions.
Just going back to your question, actually, Wally, just looking at his racket, he's definitely using gut cross strings, isn't he? So that answers your question. No changes in his racket.
Game. Team Germany.
And no breaker serve. Sonego desperate to try and make that happen, and confirmation of the fact that there it is. He's usually around 24 kilograms in the mains. Those are the strings, the grey strings. And he is about 25 kilograms in the cross strings, the gut strings. Flip, what difference does that kilogram make?
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You definitely want to have the gut looser, because it gives you that extra hold in the ball, which will help with more spin. It'll hold on to that ball for that extra second, split second, and definitely have gives you a better feel on the shot.
That's why Flip strung his at 32 kilos.
Are you suggesting the feel aspect?
36, Wally. 36.
36. It was an absolute brick. Clever. Didn't necessarily try to pass him.
Love 15.
Just made him play a tough volley. Passing shot would have been next, but Sonego couldn't deal with the half volley. Not a bad approach, but there's that good movement again. He's there in time. That's a quality shot there from Zverev.
Boy, he sinks well into the shots out wide, doesn't he, Zverev, with his tall frame? Gets down and lives with that ball.
15 all.
So maybe those last two balls, certainly the previous point shooting off the baseline, and maybe that one just skipping off the service line. Line's a little smoother than the rest of the court. Court surface a little gritty, shooting off the lines.
Phenomenal athleticism. Another exhilarating rally between these two.
Each green dot representing a ball mark, and that is pretty hard to defend against. Power and accuracy there from Zverev.
Crowd absolutely loving this contest between these two, and it is still very much in the balance. The Italian playing some beautiful tennis. 5-4.
He's enjoying this, isn't he?
Yep.
He likes his team around him. He likes a bit of by-play with Furlan. Good body serve there, well dealt with well, but that first volley, once again, he floats, but great anticipation and good skills. Back virtually turned to the net, finds the middle of the racket. He did the right thing here, Zverev. He goes line, had to cover line, read it beautifully. But Sonego, yeah, I mean, he's obviously been a part of a winning Davis Cup team for Italy, been around Yannick Sinner. I mean, those are experiences that just make you a better player, ultimately. And you can see he's really enjoying representing his country.
Checking in on the live action at RAC Arena in Perth, and it's world women's #1 Iga Swiatek well in control, leading 5-1 in the first set, with Haddad Maia now on service, hoping to stay in this match. It's the first clash between Poland and Brazil, and the first match of the night session in Perth. Well, Świątek making it tough going for the Brazilian, who had success yesterday in her singles match against Sonego of Spain, but a tougher test today as we return you to Ken Rosewall Arena in Sydney.
That's how fast he's moving. Flip, I don't know what you think, but you know the slice is a great shot, but you can't hit 3 or 4 in a row. It's got to be a change-up, surely.
I agree, Wally. One to change up the pace and then step into it. When you're getting 3 in a row to someone like Zverev, then he can step forward and you know, it's just putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
And it was 3 to the same side. It didn't even vary the side. I mean, it's just, well, he's trying things, so credit to him for that. But you'd think it's the variety that's going to maybe draw the error or give you a shorter ball.
Also too, when you're trying something new, you know, maybe something not successful with, but when he's been successful, he's hitting through the ball and being aggressive in the points. So, as you said, you know, one to mix up, but then step in and rip. We just saw his racket being dropped off. I'm wondering, because of the change of atmosphere as far as the temperature, if he's actually gone a little looser with his racket, with this new racket string. I'm sure we can find out what he's done with it.
Great serving once again. He doesn't overserve. I mean, it's 183. Just hits his spots, lets the slice do the work. Serving well within himself. And that should give you a good first serve percentage. And he's at 74%. That's healthy.
$40-15.
No hesitation, plenty of courage on the overhead from the German. And we lock things up at 5 apiece after 50 minutes of this opening set. That's had a little bit of everything. High quality.
He made that smash look a little easier than it is. It's not, it's an unusual arena. There's a lot of metal trusses and visually it's not that easy. You hit a ball dropping directly from the roof, but he timed it sweetly.
middle-court tennis from the Italian.
And that's the point you're talking about, Flip. That's when he's at his best, when he's taking it on.
15 love.
Yeah, he's got that aggressive mindset. What I really loved about that, after that forehand, he was looking to move in, and he took that, after this, taking this one on the rise with a topspin volley. Great play.
Love.
He just does not hold back. I mean,
40 love.
Zverev serves within himself, very accurately, very powerfully, but Sonego, he just throws everything he's got at it. His numbers are bigger. He serves faster than Zverev. His percentages are lower. He's on the red line.
Game. Team Italy.
Big pressurised moment, big serving, and Team Italy looking very good and have secured themselves at least a breaker in this opening set. This goes for a long time now, Jabbo. Do you like that kind of longevity? Of course, it's worked with very few players, but it's worked successfully at times for players. Do you feel as though when you watch him play in the last few years that his game has perhaps flatlined a little bit, Wally?
Yeah, to a degree, possibly. It's interesting at his height. Athletically, if you look at someone like Alcaraz, there's just so much athletic potential. And I think when you're a certain height, you are somewhat limited to your game style.
Well, the first hit out of the summer for women's world #1 Iga Swiatek, very much going to plan right now. In full control in her first set against Brazil's Beatriz Haddad-Maia, taking that first set 6-2, and indeed putting her side in pole position.
I couldn't agree more, Mark, because he's just in a zone, isn't he? He's just hitting his spots. Maybe it's a case of, you know, Federer had the sabre. I'm not suggesting that. You'll probably get killed. But, yeah, maybe just hug the baseline and block one back. Change it up. Maybe you draw a fault just by standing in that different position. Retreats again for the second. Wants to take a full cut at the return.
Yeah, got a little unlucky with that one because he really ripped that forehand, and just that one just sitting up nicely for Zverev, but picking the side and having an opportunity on this one. But on the second one too, I wouldn't mind seeing him step in on the second serve and ripping one of these backhand returns. I mean, he's seeing the ball so well. Put a little bit of that pressure.
Something I don't think the Italian has necessarily that comes easily to him, or instinctively, perhaps more importantly, is the block return. That's the one shot that you would like to see him against these big servers be able to just utilise to get the ball back into play. It's tough to take big swings consistently against these serves.
And the block, of course, is predicated by the grip, and we've seen him at the net. So he's got that continental grip. He's played some nice backhand volleys. So the grip is there.
You can just see that's not one thing that you see him on the court practicing, right, guys? You know what I mean? Spending a little bit of time on.
I actually watched him practice the other day prior to the tournament, and he spent about 45 minutes standing in the one spot, just absolutely striping the ball. Yeah, very few chips, not a great deal of variety, but just smacking it.
Oh, well, that's magnificent. He held his ground so well. Zverev loves to go cross-court with the pass with that heavy spin on the ball. And it would have been so easy, subconsciously, to cover his favourite shot there.
I mean, how was that volley from the toes? The shoelaces.
Well, it was the saviour, but it could also be the separator. The fact that he's managed to salvage that opening point.
Yeah, but no question, it's a tie-break. He definitely should change his returning stance.
Yeah, I mean, give him that one side. Stand 2 meters, just to say, hey, you want this, go for it. But just get him to take his eye off a little bit, because right now he's got some really good rhythm on that serve, and he's looking dangerous.
Maybe he just figures I'll see one and take a good cut at it and get it just right. Good tennis, a lot of points are being won. Players are creating opportunities, they're not afraid to move forward.
2-1. Team Germany.
Power is the order of the day, but we're seeing some good court craft too. Good hustle there from Sonego, but to no avail.
Well, guys, he did chip that forehand return back, but it just floated a little bit too much for him, unfortunately.
I like Sonego's body language on the court. He's playing a player he's lost to twice. Obviously a better credentialed player, more titles, but his body language is completely positive. He's not going to need his Zempic later in life. He's got a lot of nervous energy. He's just churning through the adrenaline. Guys, I've never seen
such different approaches to, you know, walking around before points. Sonego's, he's got so much bounce on his step as he's walking. He walks so fast, and Zverev with those long legs just cruising and taking his time. But I'll tell you what, they're both looking very fresh right now. Some great tennis.
Unlucky. It was the right shot from Sonego to go with the backhand line to try and get the forehand back cross court from Zverev that would potentially drop a little shorter with the spin on it, and he could attack it, but missed the initial shot. And these are the moments in some of the matches that we've seen a little brittleness from the 28-year-old in the past. Not this time.
For all.
Fourth ace.
And Petch, I think that's what you're talking about. Probably a metre inside the court. An abbreviated swing was possibly necessary. He had less court to hit into, but there he is. He's actually just inside the baseline, but just throws the racket at the ball with abandon. Trying to change the direction too, which is not easy. Picked a tough shot, and that could be a very crucial error. So he's had a lot of trouble returning this first serve with any authority. He really needs to right here.
Unreal how to rectify the mistake from the previous point.
Five all.
He almost had to hit a winner. Once again, he backed himself into that alley with the forehand. And there it is. Look, he's virtually in the tram lines, hitting these forehands. Not an easy shot. Brave in the end from the Italian.
Oh, wow. Generally very secure up at the net, the German. But the effervescence that's been coming from the other end of the court via the spirit The industrious nature of Sonego perhaps just caught Zverev's eyes and felt as though he needed to put it back into the smaller part of the court.
Thank you.
And that miss opens the door for a set point for Team Italy. And that is a raucous response from the crowd as well. What an opening set of tennis. High-octane stuff. 67 minutes. Lorenzo Sonego takes it on the breaker.
Can he maintain this energy, maintain the rage?
Now, before we go to the future, let's just flip it back to the past as well, Wally, and just reflect on what was something a little bit special there between these two. We're always going to do the cold autopsy of numbers, but at times they're for accountants. They're not for tennis matches, because there was something just a little bit special in those closing stages in that opening set. And the Italian, from that mini breakdown, it looked unlikely he was going to recover, but he did.
And you look at that first serve points won, it was 88% for Zverev, but at 5-4, crucially in the tiebreak, he missed 2 first serves out of the blue. And it cost him, but full marks to Sonego. He played all-court tennis. We're seeing some of the highlights here of that first set. It actually was a high-quality set from both men, to be honest. A lot of points were decided by winners. It was very impressive. The unforced error count was low, and they were not afraid to take chances, in particular Sonego. I mean, he got burnt a couple of times with a drop shot. He got burnt a couple of times with the net, but he persisted to play all-court tennis. I think he's enjoying having his team courtside. He loves the energy they give him. He's an extrovert. They love him, and he is on fire. My big question is, can he keep this level? Because
Well, tomorrow night in Perth, we'll see world number 1 Novak Djokovic step onto a tennis court for the last time in 2023. Djokovic kicks off the campaign for Team Serbia in the evening session at the RAC Arena as they take on China. World number 1 looking to end his year and start the summer with a big win. Of course, we've also got Team USA and Team Great Britain in action as well. They'll start the day in Perth. Jessica Pegula taking on Katie Bolter, and Taylor Fritz taking on Cameron Norrie. The Americans, of course, the inaugural winners of the United Cup. Plenty of challenges this year, though. Lorenzo Sonego, look at him go. Team Italy absolutely on fire. Alexander Zverev with some work to do to get back into this match. Sonego leads a set to love.
that's probably a testament to the length of the season. They're still at the back end of 2023 in terms of their form. They're not finding form. They're in form.
15 love.
And if you look at that set in the context of a slam, you know, to beat the very best players, for someone like Sonego, who's awfully good, and you talk about, you know, taking another step in the game, you've probably got to play at that level for 3 or 4 sets to beat Zverev in a slam, or, you know, let alone Novak or Alcaraz or the rest of the top seeds. It's a daunting prospect, isn't it?
$30-15. 30 all.
Exciting time in Italian tennis, isn't it? They've got superstars. Well, Berrettini's injured, but Sinner, of course, is next cab off the rank. But they've got depth. And players with... They have variety. They're not sort of cookie-cutter players. They've all got their own style and personality, and certainly doing something right in Italy.
40-30.
Hasn't landed this time. Well, they've got the 5 in the world's top 100 at the moment, which obviously isn't that substantial compared to some of the other more sort of powerhouses in the game. But they've got another 14 when you drop from 100 to 200 as well, that are loading up to potentially make an assault on the world's top 100. So obviously, despite being Davis Cup champions, they're all the glory that comes with that, they certainly have got a nice wave seemingly coming their way. Hugely successful domestic tournament program that they've managed to implement, that seems to work well for not just the federation but the local tennis clubs as well. From the futures to the challengers, a change that happened in the early 90s in Italy. This is a 30-year overnight success for Italian tennis.
Well, they've got a rich history.
Yep.
The Italians. And obviously the Italian Open, huge event in its own right. It's been a showpiece for them, but yeah, they're well located too in Europe, aren't they? So when they have a domestic tour, the best European players come down there, so it's intense and competitive. Well, here's the challenge.
Love 15.
As you suggested, Flip. It's been a brilliant first set from Sonego, but there's always a letdown. It's the scales shift ever so slightly when you sit down after that first set. Zverev a little more determined. Sonego gives himself a pat on the back, and things can turn quickly. And that's the serve that's worked well for him.
15 all.
From up here in the commentary box, Flip, it doesn't look like there's a lot of spin on that first serve. It looks flat, particularly the one out wide to the backhand.
It's very flat. There's not a lot of margin, especially on that wide one, the highest part of the net. But he's found it in some very big situations.
Oh. 15-30.
Some of the favourite combinations in that rally from Zverev. Ultimately, the backhand down the line, and then the three-quarter length forehand, dragging his opponent, going back behind his opponent, who's chasing to cover the down the line forehand, which is a fairly frequent shot from Zverev as well. Couple of break-point chances.
What's impressive is he's continuing to press, continuing to be aggressive, and at 15-40 down, I mean, did not doubt himself at all, went for it again. It's great work. Does he have one more left in him?
That is high risk, high reward. And at the moment, there's very little roadkill out here for Sonego. He is not hurting his own chances, only enhancing them.
Advantage. Team Germany.
Yes, he's got to be careful with that backhand cross. But as I said, he opens up that line for Zverev. Almost better when he goes down the line or even in the middle. A lot of the times Zverev's in that forehand cross court. Again, Fitzy at wide serve coming to the rescue. Oh, Wally, sorry. Fitzy's all the way Sydney.
That's not the guy next to me. He's not quite as good looking as Fitzy. But that is an easy mistake to make.
You know, Wally, I did not mean to insult you. I apologise.
Flip, I'll be talking to you fairly sternly about that after.
Same decade, same forehand.
You know, Fitzy just had a birthday.
A lot less hair.
We're interchangeable. Yeah, no worries, Pat. First signs of frustration from Zverev.
Advantage. Team Italy.
Chances coming and going. And it's the quality of the first serve. It's just not letting him get in a lot of these return points when he's got chances or half chances. He's got such reach, hasn't he? It's actually hard to drag him wide on the back end. One big step, he moves forward and across. Wasn't necessarily a bad backhand cross there from Sonego, but almost just opened up the court for Zverev.
Team Italy.
You know, from this angle, he got a good angle in that return, and when he does tend to miss those returns or those forehands, he decelerates, doesn't hit through it. I mean, we know he's got heavy ground strokes, but when he does miss it, doesn't hit the ball through like he does on that backhand side. Guides it a little bit.
Tennis at its absolute finest here in Sydney.
One game off.
Gee, that looked out. That floating backhand from Zverev looked out, but no hesitation whatsoever from Sonego. He just got on with the job. Almost round the net post there from Zverev. Tidied up from Sonego. So a little hiccup there. Faced a couple of break points, but was up to the challenge. The first serve saving him on occasion. Big hold there for the Italian. And Team Italy are on their feet.
Snaps another huge shot down the line.
But that's the 1-2, isn't it? Little inside-out slice down to the forehand, and then he unloads. There it is, the little inside-out slice. No pace, and then bang. That's Sonego in isolation, but it was a good 1-2.
There's that deceleration, 140 Ks. That's where you would love to see, and it would be an invaluable tool for Sonego, is that little block return at that kind of moment against players that have been above 6'4" this season, the sort of height that Zverev is. He's won 3, lost 7 against these big servers, and that little chip return could be priceless when you've got the scoreboard advantage.
Players are stubborn though, aren't they? And it's hard to argue with success. They are successful. You know, Sonego's been a whisker away from a top 20 player. So to tell him that you need to add this or subtract that, they're like, no, hey, I can get it done my way. Sometimes they're just not willing to experiment.
40-30.
Huge hold, love 30 down, and perhaps that's going to be the pivot, the fulcrum that Zverev needed to get Team Germany back into this contest against Team Italy. 2-1, Zverev, second set. Not just a great atmosphere inside the stadium, but outside as well. United Cup making its presence felt here in Sydney, and there is an opportunity not just to visit the tennis, but it's to go to where Wally Masur resides. You might even bump into Wally.
Is that Fitzy? No, Petch, I live, you're right, I live very close to Manly Beach, and any morning if you come down to Manly Beach about 7 o'clock, you'll see me walking there in my budgie smugglers having a bit of a swim.
Okay, I'm not coming. Not with that image in my head. I'm going to go and visit Fitzy. Manly Corso, Manly Wolf, popular among the locals, and Wally Masur. Lots of restaurants, super easy to get out there on the ferries as well. Even somebody like myself has been able to manage that particular hurdle.
Over in Perth, it's world women's number one, Iga Świątek, very much in control of the opening match between Team Poland and Team Brazil. After taking the first set 6-2, she leads 4-2 in the second and looks to have her summer of tennis off to an absolute flyer. Had admired it so well in her opening encounter on day one of the United Cup. Tougher going here. Świątek seems to have it all her way right now over in Perth.
And effervescence, and probably time for Zverev just to make a little bit of a statement that Germany are already down 1-0 and he's not going to let this one slide.
New ball. Love 50.
Nice little motion. We saw it earlier on. He sometimes gets a little bit of a hold. He gets a little bit out of rhythm on this serve, a little bit of a hold here. The thing I would say at times there, Wally, is look how open that racket gets. I don't know what you call it in Australia. We call it like the pizza position or the waiter's position.
The fry pan, yeah, just opens it up.
That's not good enough. And it could be costly.
No, you kind of prefer it when the racket face is closed throughout the motion. Think Sampras, think Federer, the great servers.
Yeah, the strings that go point to the side of the court, whereas you look at Lorenzo's and the racket, when he starts the throw, actually the strings point to the ground and to the sky.
But then he finds that flat pop, doesn't he? He kind of fry pans it, and he's got enough height to make it work. The strings certainly help. I was going to say, I like the serve, forehand body. And he's doing everything in a hurry.
15-40.
almost just rushed his way. I'm just trying to think, would it have been better to have let this bounce and smash it? Probably made the right decision, just didn't execute. Unlucky, caught the tape on the final volley.
The one with the chances. Can he capitalise? And he's got him.
Team Germany.
The previous game felt that it was important, and so it's proved to be.
Team Germany leads 3-1.
Just shows you, doesn't it? He didn't get the break points in the previous returning game. That's not disappointment, that's building pressure. And that's exactly how Zverev saw it. Pay dividends, the work that he did in the previous game. There's the chip forehand we've been talking about. He brings that into play. And the backhand does the damage. Almost enticed him to move forward.
Also, you get the sense there that he didn't believe that Sonego had the courage to hit the drop shot, because look how deep he was. That is one of the big differences between the top players and great players like Sonego, is that deep reservoir of self-belief, and Zverev certainly has that.
Get the ball, please. Thank you.
Self-belief and technical proficiency. Technique that doesn't break down. They trust it. They don't even think about it. I mean, that backhand is Zverev. I mean, even though he's down, he lost that first set 7-6. I mean, the backhand is just money at all times, isn't it? And you know at some point it's going to pay dividends. The first serve is money.
40 love. Fault.
Swing and a miss, and he's starting to lose touch with the German in this second set. Team Germany looking good, 4-1. It's been one of these things about Zverev's second serve as well. When you look at it tonight, he's having a pretty decent match, 62%. Surprisingly for somebody as tall, Wally, he resides in his career under 50%. But of course, part of that is offset by he's one of the highest percentage first servers in the game. So there's not as high a quantity of second serves to players to get after.
Yeah, no, he's and tonight's been a classic case of that, hasn't it? I mean, first serve one when he gets it in, and he's up around 75%, which is tremendous. He's over 80% when he gets that first serve in. I mean, it's accurate. He's serving within himself. His percentages are good. He uses the square nicely.
Well, over in Perth, it's the world number one who is looking to wrap up the women's singles in style. She's been dominant all evening over Beatrice Haddad-Maher, and it is Iga Świątek that takes the women's singles, putting Team Poland ahead 1-love in their tie against Brazil. A strong start for the Polish side, with Ube Erkac next up on court. And Brazil battling to stay in the United Cup in 2024.
How tall is Sebastian? Not a lot of him.
5'7".
Is he really 5'7"?
5'7".
Yeah. He's starting the point.
Security, thank you. On my left bar, sir, thank you.
The security guards just got lost in the moment there. You thought John Fitzgerald was in the house.
Get him out. And the camera's panned to him just to make him feel good. Oh, it's in. Momentum. It's a wonderful thing in tennis, isn't it? The tide turns, and it usually turns on a set. I don't think I've ever seen anybody hit a forehand from there. That's the widest to the backhand I think I've ever seen anybody hit a forehand. Just have a look at this pitch. Well, we won't quite see it from there, but he's 2.5 meters outside the alley. And I think that says it all. What am I doing? That's a long way west. He's nearly in Penrith. We showed Manly, that's to the east. He's heading west.
Loses this next point, he's going to be heading south very fast in this second set.
$15.30.
It's not always easy to do either when a set is slipping away from you, but you have the first set in your pocket to sort of think, well, okay, I'll let it slide. I'll regroup for the third, but I'm not suggesting that's a good course of action. Better to get yourself back in the contest as soon as possible. Take something out of Zverev, even if he wins this set. Got to take something out of him, physically and emotionally.
As you mentioned, Wally's just got to find a way just to get that focus back and intensity and hold on to serve, because at the end of the day, he is only down one break. I mean, Zverev is serving well, but he's got to do his job and just make sure he asks the question. But right now, even he serves like that was like 2-3 meters out, and he's definitely lost that focus.
Another gift from the German. doesn't often miss it long as well when you watch him play. More often than not, that spin that he imparts on the ball drops it in the net a little too frequently. Those mistakes just giving the Italian a little opportunity here to regroup and reset. Well, he looked like he was collapsing like an accordion, Sonego, but he has managed to pull himself together.
It was those 2 forehand return errors from Zverev that sort of gave Sonego the breathing space. Okay, let's see if he can take advantage of that. Turn around on his own service game. He's still pacing back and forward, Sonego. He hasn't lost enthusiasm. If Sonego had an Apple Watch, I'd like to get his step count when he's on court. In between points, he's racking up the steps. Look, he's not still. He just keeps. He's perpetual motion. Look at this. I mean, there's 40 steps right there.
Let's for serve.
You can't believe it. It'd be nice to see that in slow motion to see if it has traversed the top of the net by some distance, but certainly that's what Zverev feels.
Flip, was that a let?
A tough one to call, but let me tell you, no matter what he says, he ain't going to win this argument. I mean, this is where you just want to, you know, it's 15 love, 4-2, keep the momentum going.
Just perhaps losing a little bit of clarity out here at the moment. The Italian, that was a very wild return, and Zverev will take it gratefully as he takes himself to the other end of the court with a 5-2 lead.
He was on the red line in the first set, Sonego, and it was working. I mean, he was adventurous, taking chances, and he was executing, but this set, he's 2-10. 2 winners, 10 unforced errors in this set already, Sonego. So he just needs to find a little bit of meat and potatoes. Just keep the ball alive. Work a little harder for his opportunities before he pulls the trigger.
Haven't seen an awful lot of that incorporated into his DNA
yet
in his career. I mean, he's a wonderful player and he's got 3 titles and all of those things, but that does feel as though that's the missing link. Now, for some players, they don't trust their defence. They don't trust their movement enough to be able to implement that kind of strategy. Never always feels like it, but sometimes the eye of the hurricane is the safest place to be, and that was where Zverev was in this second set early on. Left 30 down on his serve and potentially about to go down a set and a break. But once he'd recovered that particular moment in the match, he hasn't looked back. A bit of ambiguity about the way that the Italian has played. And what he really wants is that certainty that Wally and Flip have been talking about in the first early stages of this match. Visually, an underhit drop shot always, Wally, looks like the wrong shot, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, he didn't have any pace to work with, and he actually just didn't get to the pitch of the ball. He was just reaching for it, so he's relying purely on feel. Kind of, you'd almost suggest his shot selection has gone out the window. Interesting, isn't it, too, how, and I know, well, you obviously worked with Andy Murray for years, how personality drives game style. I mean, Andy was a classic to me. I mean, he could have been such an aggressive baseliner, but he had a counter-punching mentality, and that's pretty much how he approached it. You talk about, you know, Sonego's DNA. He's a shot maker. He wants to make things happen. Sometimes playing the percentages, which a coach would almost demand or think the time is right. It's not what he's going to do. I mean, that's another case in point right there. Renzo Furlan there, team captain for Italy, just scratching his head, as well he might.
That is a gorgeous return. The length it had to travel from where he was returning from to pinpoint it onto his opponent's baseline was sumptuous from Zverev.
Well, a ball loses all its pace when it hits the court. So if it lands that close to the baseline, you are dealing with some pace. Obviously, the depth is there. That's a tricky assignment.
Double set point. He's hit that with no pressure on him, down a couple of set points, and he has carved it to perfection.
30-40.
Cheeky.
It's a good effort here to get a backhand deuce, because one thing he wants to do, you know, if he does lose his set, at least hold serve here so he can serve first in the third set.
Novak's turned that into an art form. The return just peppered straight back at the feet of the server. Very hard. Got to organise yourself, unravel yourself after the serve, deal with a half volley.
Stylish and successful. Irresistible.
Very brave, these two off forehand drop shots, given the scoreline. It's nice, with every revolution, it was just drifting away, taking Zverev ever further out of the court. Novak does that quite nicely, doesn't he? The little inside-out backhand drop shot to the forehand.
Does a few things nicely.
Advantage, Team Italy.
I'm still trying to recover from watching Novak in that US Open final. Just serve volley his way to another slam and just keep Medvedev completely at bay.
Having not done it in the tournament up until then.
Ever. To that point, you know, to that frequency.
Well, that's what's been going on in the lab. You know that when somebody can crack that out in a Grand Slam final from having not really practiced it in any of the matches up there. One thing I will say about Sonego, he loves to go big when he serves and volleys, Wally. Obviously, against a guy that returns from so deep as Zverev, that ball's lost a lot of pace by the time it comes there. And it doesn't really allow him a lot of time to get close to the net. I almost feel as though 195, 190 would be a better pace first serve so he could get into the net, because he's not hitting aces.
Yeah, with a bit of shape.
He's done well with that volley, the first volley, and maybe Zverev got there in time when it was above the height, and then he could have just punched it down the line.
Thank you.
Not a bad attempt. Probably could have hit a forehand.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Thing we haven't chatted about on Sonego's serve in terms of that motion of opening the racket face. He doesn't get great movement off that serve in terms of the cut down the tee. Out of nowhere, he has produced 4 absolute gems with the drop shot off the forehand side. The great escape.
Well, here I am talking about percentages. He's Italian. The home of Ducati, the home of Ferrari, Ferragamo. They're flamboyant. That's who he is. I mean, that is audacious, isn't it?
It's a game-winning strategy, as we've just seen, but is it a match-winning strategy?
I would say no, but he may well prove me wrong. It's high risk. High reward, but high risk. Can he maintain it?
Potentially one more stroke on the stroke of a couple of hours in this match, and Zverev will put this second set to bed. Late night beckons here in Sydney, potentially. Team Italy won the opening match. Team Germany square up the second match of the night. And it has been a thoroughly enjoyable couple of hours.
Where to from here for Sonego? I think Zverev has just kind of dialed it in. He's playing at 80%. He's within himself. He's controlled. He's not making a lot of errors. Serving awfully well. He's hard to break down. We know the backhand is money. There is set 2 in summary. But Sonego is the wild card. He was absolutely on fire in that first set, but he didn't quite get it right in that second set, particularly the errors. They were his undoing and obviously not generating a lot of winners. First serve points won. Zverev once again up over 80%. Sonego dropping in that department, dropping in the first serve percentage department, and just shot selection a little haphazard for Sonego. I think it was just a case of trying to maintain the level that he had displayed in that first set. He was unable to do it. But Zverev, he's just humming along within himself, moving well. I've been pretty impressed with him, to be honest, tonight. If this is his first match of the season, look out. He's only going to get better.
Well, it's the Group A men's singles underway tonight in Perth, where Hubert Hurkacz takes on Thiago Zajbovic. It's their first meeting between the two. And Hurkacz, obviously the Shanghai Masters champion, will be a tough one to beat for Zajbovic after a loss in yesterday's match against Spain.
But, you know, he just wants to start off with some good good energy in this third set and definitely start off with that one-love game and get some momentum going. Look to put some pressure on the return of serve game.
How difficult is it to throw a guy like Zverev out of this rhythm, this tempo? It feels as though one of the class players we have on the tour, when he's playing like this, it's very difficult to get him to force to adjust.
It is. He's one of the best in the world. He's back in the top 10 from that terrible injury he had. I feel like he's got that mojo back of the way he's hitting the ball with, you know, that heavy ground strokes and that backhand down the line. Like you said, his backhand is so solid. But then when he wants to step in and rip it down the line, he's got that shot. He's very intimidating to play. Moves incredibly well for a big guy. And he's only got that one double fault tonight, so serving incredibly well. And then that puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. So he's gonna, you know, you're gonna have to play out of your comfort zone. That's something that Sonego did on that first set, and he maintained it all the way through the tiebreaker. And I think, you know, for him to have the chance, he's gonna have to continue to do that, take some risks.
Zverev's had an excellent record in deciders. Those German fans will be delighted to hear that he's 18-5 on the season, but he's won his last 14 out of 15 deciding sets. As Sasha Zverev, his only loss coming to Rublev in the quarterfinals of Vienna, 6-3 in the third. So he has been good when it's been going long. And well, you were talking about matches that he had been playing and how was his serving earlier this season, Wally. And well, when you ever take a little look at what he's managed to do, he's only served what was it, 222 aces I think I saw this season, and well, it was 220 back in 2020, but when you consider that was in 39 matches compared to 79, you can see how much that particular shot has improved. He's been secure when he's needed to be. He's been overwhelmed when Sonego has caught fire.
Well, we talked about those unforced errors from Sonego in that second set, and I think now he's just got to hang on to his serve. You can't make those rash decisions or those unforced errors on his serve. Hang on to his serve, create a bit of scoreboard pressure. Mark suggested that he plays with risk, and that's when he's at his best. But maybe that risk is taken on the return games. Maybe it's not a case of building pressure on return, just trying to catch fire in one game. But got to take care of his serve.
Love 15.
See, that was a great play, guys. And I know, you know, he went in the highest part of the net, but what I really loved about this forehand, he had some nice shape on the ball. And yeah, there was a little bit of risk. It didn't seem like as risky as he was a little bit, you know, maybe a set ago. That had some nice shape and plenty of power behind it.
I guess the problem for Sonego, as this match has evolved, is his 80% is not good enough. It's almost like he has to be a little spectacular, and maybe we're judging him a bit harshly because he just feels under pressure. If he plays it safe, he's on the defence pretty quickly.
15-40. Game, Team Germany.
That's the perfect start. And ever since the escape early on in the second set, he simply hasn't looked back. And it's tough to see the Italian has enough ammunition to consistently beat the durable and reliable German. Good to see Angie Kerber back on court. Came up second best against Paolini earlier tonight. But that potentially will leave this wonderful crowd here at the Ken Rosewell Arena with a live mixed doubles match if Zverev can push on from here.
Love 15. Flat for serve.
So Sonego moving. One thing about Sasha's game as well that always got to keep an eye on is just how often he likes to actually use his forehand. You can see tonight here, forehand 53% of the time in play in a rally situation. Interesting because so often at the time we talk about how secure his backhand is, how often he moves around his forehand to his backhand, particularly behind his serve. But 2022, when he reached 2 in the world, and he wasn't an awfully long way off becoming world #1 at that particular stage. It actually changed significantly from the previous season, where he had hit his forehand 49% of the time. Just about half the time he was hitting his forehand compared to his backhand. But 2022, he was up at 60%. It is still the shot that's going to determine a lot of the outcomes in men's matches. And Zverev is at a better number now than he was back then. So despite, as you said rightly at the start of the match, Wally, it can be a little bit of his Achilles heel. It is certainly a big reason for his success.
It definitely looks pretty safe tonight, and I say that he's finding the same part of the racket consistently. If players are missing, but they're getting the same hit, you feel confident that you can remedy that pretty quickly. But when you're finding different parts of the racket and the weight, body weight is moving inconsistently, you're framing the ball, that's a bigger problem. And that has been the case with him on occasion. But right now the balance looks good, the timing looks good. Yeah, I've been impressed with, I mean, he's an impressive player, obviously, that's stating the obvious, but he talked about breaking his momentum, even just the way he controls the pace of the match, you know, that languid moving, you know, Sonego, he was like a blowfly in a glass jar in that first set, in between points, but you can't rush Zverev. He kind of conducts the tempo out there.
Love.
The stats of this match probably don't count towards the 2024 season, but Sonego is winning the off forehand drop shot stat for this coming year. He has just gone to the well pretty consistently and done it well. He just can't win the standard rally, can he? He's got to come up with some funk. He's got to do something. You know, as Flip said, he's got to play that really high tempo point where he's just on it almost from the first ball, or it's the drop shot coming in himself. He just can't win the basic rally. That's how he's got to play. It's, as Flip suggested, maybe that's just the way forward.
40-15.
Play with risk.
It's amazing how the momentum has changed in this match. Even just Zverev is just looking so solid right now. The way he's holding that ball on the racket, being able to change direction very easily, effortlessly, and with power, mixing up the spin, speed of the ball. And Sonego's just looking a little lost right now.
Team Italy.
held on just by his fingernails. Needs to find a way to try and just shift gears a little bit here. Does Sonego. Zverev 2-1 with the break still. Well, no time to rest at the moment for Germany. As you see, confirmation of that ball's being out as we take you out about to the beautiful coastline that stretches here in the north and south of Sydney. I believe, Wally, that's just about 90 minutes south that you'll find the beautiful town of Wollongong.
It is a beautiful area, and the hinterland is amazing as well, up into Kangaroo Valley, Berry. It is a beautiful part of the world. If you keep going further down to the south coast of New South Wales, it's unspoilt beaches. That's up north, that's Palm Beach. Little peninsula there, that is the very northern tip of Sydney. Short hop there on a ferry and you're in the central coast, Petch. Beautiful waterways up there, Pittwater.
I love your travel guides.
Well, the men's singles in Group A is well underway at the RAC Arena in Perth, and Thiago Zajbacz is holding his own against Hologic of Poland. It's 2 apiece in the first set, with Hologic on serve. It's Zajbacz with a chance and the hopes of Brazil on his shoulders to keep them in this tie, having lost the first match already this evening.
– 11-0.
I've got a theory.
Okay. He's bailed you out here, Flip, unless you've got a theory.
I do not. I'm surprised by those numbers, actually.
My theory is this.
I am sitting here with bated breath.
When you're as tall as Zverev, your off-court training has to be tailored to your physique. The best players in the world have traditionally been around that 6 foot, 6'1". You don't, even 6'3" is, I don't think we've had a 6'3" world number 1 for, absolutely dominating the game. So I think the off-court training that the smaller, like a Carlos Alcaraz, can do in terms of endurance training, and I think tennis is a running game. Nicely done there from Zverev. Beautiful touch on the backhand volley. Can stand them in better stead for the demands of 5-set tennis in terms of those repeat dynamic efforts. Whereas I think for the taller players, and I sometimes think, I kind of think for a guy like John Isner, how could he train compared to a Carlos Alcaraz at his height? In terms of getting endurance, yes, the bike, yes, the rower. Could John Isner run 400s a la Andy Murray, Goran Ivanisevic, 400-metre interval sprints? So I'm putting it down to the inability of the taller player to train the way a shorter player might train. Therefore, he doesn't last as long in the 5-setters.
You can be my defence attorney anytime.
Look, I could be completely wrong. I'm just throwing it out there.
The last time you were wrong was when you thought you were wrong.
Well, that's actually right.
Tallest world number 1, of course, Daniil Medvedev at 6'6".
Game, Team Germany. Team Germany leads.
I've digressed from the match at hand, but I guess, yes, there have been some world number 1s, but those absolute champions who dominate an era. I mean, I guess Boris was 6'3", 6'2", 6'3".
He looked about 8 foot when he was beating me on court number 1 at Wimbledon, I can assure you.
Yeah, he had a presence, didn't he? Oh, nicely done there from Zverev. Once again, it's that silky movement to the ball, quick reaction.
It's actually not the side to serve and volley to. And I know we talk about serving to his forehand and trying to break it down, but actually because of the heavy spin, he is able to get that down on your shoelaces very nicely off that particular return if he sees you coming in.
All.
Andy was a running machine for periods of his career, wasn't he?
Still running.
Incredible endurance.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, can't stop. He's not still running on a metal hip, is he?
Not as much. Only in matches. So good. What an absolute diagonal dagger of a return that was from the German.
So as a server, you're falling away to the backhand, and he just thumps what was a pretty good serve directed at his hip. There it is. Look where he is. That is a brilliant return. I think that's why you got to have the double-hander pitch for the return. I can't think of a single-hander coming up with that.
That is a masterpiece.
It's just like Zverev has just taken this match to another level, taken his game just to another gear that Sonego doesn't have.
And Flippy doesn't seem as though he's taking any great chances or striving for power. It's all within himself, technically sound. Just right shot at the right time.
It's been his most successful strategy. But I'll go back to that technique. You talked about it earlier, about sort of mental toughness alongside technique. You need both of them. That serve, when you open the hand as he does, you can generate an awful lot of power. That worked, and seen a lot of players serve huge with it. But what you lose with that open hand position that Sonego has at the back of the serve is placement and movement off the court. It goes flat through the court.
Yeah, and if a player reads it and sees it, it's actually in the strike zone. Not much you can do about that. 212 in the corner.
But he can't off-pace it and find it. That's my point. 212 flat, yeah, it's going to get a good outcome. But how often are you going to make that particular serve percentage-wise? We've even seen Zverev drop it in at 190, tight to the line, swinging away.
He just can't technically do it with the grip that he has on his serve.
So, Flip, you're saying the grip is a little forehandy. It's not quite continental enough?
Oh, definitely. You can clearly see it the way he starts off his serve. You know, like you guys are saying, he doesn't have that slow swinging wide one where he can get that angle, or he doesn't even, you know, even his second serve is not really biting up, doesn't have that kick that Zverev has. I mean, Zverev is pretty much 6'6", so that helps, but doesn't have that huge kick in second serve. It's a great effort to hold.
Yeah, big velocity again, and that has got him over the line, and it keeps him once again within just the one game. Zverev, though, with that very valuable break, 3-2.
Well, the world number one looks right at home in Western Australia, taking a leisurely jog along the beach in Perth. Team Serbia gets underway tomorrow in the night session, or the second session in Perth, with Novak Djokovic in action. And his team against Team China, looking very, very happy as he prepares to get his United Cup campaign underway.
He's going to have to wait for an opportunity here. Patience is an action, and he's going to have to be patient. Will there be some sort of drop-off from Zverev on serve, peppering them in at 80% of his first serves going in? He's got to hope for a few misfires from the German.
Ledge for serve.
There's no question Sonego can play on emotion. So maybe there's a point, something that just he plays an extraordinary shot that fires him up and he reacts to his team, and that can get him going. Outside of that, I kind of agree with you. It's almost like he needs a drop in level from Zverev. He needs a bit of help.
Crowd's going to love that. What a perfect outcome. Skimmed the net and stayed so low. Nothing the Italian could sort of latch onto.
Sonego's come up with two amazing returns, and Zverev, I mean, look at this shot. Just that pickup just now as well, unbelievable.
Ledge for serve.
And obviously, guys, one of the advantages for somebody like Zverev, who prefers his backhand in terms of sort of rallying. I know his forehand does more of the damage, does the greater work, is that he never really gets out of position on the court. He's never hustling to get around his backhand to try and hit a forehand like some other players. So often on balance, quickly out of the serve.
(40-15). I'm
going to assume Zverev uses a normal length racket.
He does.
Yeah. with limbs that long, you don't need any extra help, do you?
It's about 360 swing weight that he has. A little bit heavier than the average out there on the ATP Tour.
It's amazing. It's 40-30, but it could so easily be at least 30-40 right now. Sonego hasn't played a very solid game. Still behind.
Thought he'd made it.
He was pretty purposeful there, Sonego. Just kept peppering the forehand. Drew a slight miss hit. And then was brave enough to come in. So maybe reward for effort here. As Flip said, he was probably a bit unlucky on a couple of these returning points. Got himself back to deuce. Not by much.
True edge of the seat stuff right now.
Advantage. Team Germany.
That's the serve that we were talking about that Sonego doesn't really have in his arsenal.
Well, that was 196 down the tee, but swinging away. I mean, that's just impossible to deal with. Easy motion. Look at this. Just cutting away. So as it hits the backboard, it's actually on the forehand side of the court. A little bit of extra juice too. At juice, 206, just beating for pace. But still within himself.
Team Italy is requesting replay of the call on the right far sideline.
It is interesting, isn't it, with Zverev's forehand, because it just doesn't look as clean or as good as his backhand, but when he goes cross, he really opens the court. It's tough. There's enough weight of shot, enough spin, you've got to work hard to get behind it, and then that really brings his backhand into play. It's effective.
Let's for serve.
People complain about the humans, but the machines aren't perfect either.
Oh. 15 all. 30-15. All.
Pretty well in recent times. Talked about Zverev's excellent 14 wins out of 15 when he's gone to a decider recently. Sonego not doing too badly as well. 11 wins, just the 3 losses for him when it's gone to a deciding set. And you can see with his temperament how he can perhaps get in his own way. He has a losing record overall on the tour when it gets to a decider. So his recent form has been good. But can it be good enough? Another bit of a reprieve for the Italian. But it is the German who continues his stranglehold on this final set with the break, 4-3. Well, I got second serve and first serve there, Wally, but well, my Italian, unfortunately, is marginally worse than my English.
Well, I was trying to figure out, were they talking about dinner, prima, seconda, or was it first and second serves? I couldn't quite get it.
Going with the pasta followed by the meat dish.
Maybe the veal, the escalope Milanese, I don't know. Plenty of conversation there, but...
What would you do on his second serve? What would you do if Sasha gives you an opportunity on a second serve?
Right now, for both these players, they actually just need to make more returns. As I'm watching this, I just can't help but think what Novak would be doing. Petch, we were just having a little discussion in the break about where this match has gone, and Zverev's been very good, awfully good. But you kind of think with the return, the first thing you have to focus on is making it. And we've spoken about blocking returns, and probably sometimes blocking returns without quality. But just keep making balls. I mean, Stan Wawrinka is a pretty good example of just making balls on return. Not always with quality, but getting himself in the contest. And even Zverev in that last game, I mean, there was a lot of missed returns. And that's probably the thing for Sonego now. If you get bat on ball, get it back. Even if you have to kick it back, headbutt it, whatever it takes, just get it back.
And he did exactly what you asked for, but another shot of rich quality there from Zverev with the backhand down the line.
It's not a guarantee, but you got to make the opponent beat you at this point. And you can cut off angles if you move closer to the baseline. He's been unwilling to do that throughout Sonego. He's returned pretty deep in the court, and probably he doesn't do it because he doesn't really have the block return. He wants to swing.
Oh, he's found something a little special again.
Does this ignite him? Not bad, is it, when you can pass someone and get the ball to land inside the service box? Hard to defend against that.
Not a shot you could have hit in the 80s with the equipment that players were playing with.
No, that pace and spin. not possible. All right, Sonego's a little fired up down that end of the court, urging himself on here.
That's exactly the return you wanted, Wally. Making him play, came up, got an unforced error out of it. Wow, completely decelerated on that first serve.
And that right there just might be the difference between good and great. Just those little moments when it matters most. Just finding the right shot at the right time.
Late Christmas presents from Sonego to Zverev.
Team Germany leads 5-3.
30 all, 2 errors. Not happy.
Let's get in that time of night where perhaps the machines had a couple of tinnies.
Yeah. Certainly injecting himself. For those of you watching at home, it's not the umpire. I don't think it's possible for Zverev to return much closer than he is. He's just so long-limbed, getting organised, getting, you know, just thinking of Adrian Mannarino and where he returns from and the short swings and how compact and how awkward he is.
Game, Team Italy.
Yeah, but if he could have changed his position, perhaps he would have liked to. Although the one thing he definitely won't want to change is the scoreboard. Team Germany will serve for it. He's certainly in a good position right now as he sits down here. Very comfortable in many ways, but massive credit to Lorenzo for keeping himself hugely competitive down the final stretch in this final set. This is where a long-lasting relationship will work, in these pressurised moments. He knows what his player likes to do, he knows what he feels more comfortable to, and I'm sure he's probably telling him exactly that to try and re-emphasise it to Sonego, not to second-guess yourself. If you get an opportunity to use that forehand, get after it. It's your best way of potentially turning this match on its head.
Well, the stars are out in force on day 3 of the United Cup. Jess Pegula remembers lifting the trophy last year. She's in action against Katie Bolter as Group C continues. Compatriot Taylor Fritz will be back on the court. He takes on Cameron Norrie after his victory against Australia on day 1. Then it's the world #1 Novak Djokovic for Group E as Team Serbia swings into action before the Canadians are on court. Felix Auger-Aliassime in the doubles.
Break points. Sonego 0 for 0. Yet to generate one in the match.
One of those little points there
15 love.
that I talked about was Zverev being very happy to trade with his backhand, unlike some players who want to run around it and not get out of position in rallies. Sonego made no gains there, not even a marginal gain by using his forehand, except get himself massively out of position and off balance for the backhand. And what you were saying at the start of this game was you don't think he's got a lot of chance.
No.
I think that was a fairly fair assessment of the situation the Italian found himself coming into this game. 7th ace. Beautiful to watch. Appropriately aggressive and some delicate touch.
That's a nicely constructed point, isn't it? Sometimes you see players having a little trouble serving matches out, but no hesitation whatsoever for Zverev. 40 love, 3 match points.
Well, in the contest of the contest between Italy and Germany, that was the perfect outcome as it keeps the mixed doubles that's to come alive. But in isolation, as a singles match on its own, it was exceptional. Another come-from-behind victory for Zverev. That's 15 out of 16 in recent times for the German. And given his tough start to 2023, when we last saw him here in Sydney, he is going to be ecstatic about that win.
Handshakes all round. Both players have moved to the opposition corner. Nice touch there, shaking the hand of the opposing team. But yeah, get back to those break points. 2 for 11 in the match was Zverev. No break points at all generated for Sonego. So you kind of think for him to take the next step in the men's game, he's probably got to, we spoke about it, change the return position, have an effective block, get yourself in more points. He's dangerous from the back of the court. He can light it up. Just got to get himself in more of those return points, even if they're not with quality. If you keep making balls, you get better at it.
Yeah, and some of the anxiety you see from Sonego in those moments, and we've seen it countless times on the tour, is because his toolbox isn't quite as full as the players ahead of him. And the expectations have been high since he reached 21 in the world back in 2021, picked up the title in Metz, but he's just inside the world's top 50 at the moment. But a man inside the world's top 10 is with Josh Eagle.
Sasha, congratulations. That's as good as we've seen you start your season here in Australia for many, many years. Well done. That was a great match.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, incredible match, I think, by both. I mean, Lorenzo played one of the best sets I've ever seen him play in the first set. And I mean, that being the first match of the season, I really can't complain. And, you know, we're happy to tie up the tie, and now it's going to go to the mixed doubles.
You served incredibly well, over 70%. That really kept you in the match. But, boy, your record, you've won 15 of your last 16 matches that have gone to 3 sets. And you just seem so composed and a lot of self-belief after a really good year.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that stat. I didn't know that. But, you know, I'm just trying to fight. I'm just trying to fight for every point. The first set kind of slipped away, you know, but he played incredibly well. So not much I can do there. But just trying to find ways to get back into the match and get back into the tie.
Looks like you're pretty keen to go. You've got a big mixed doubles. Can we expect you to play the mixed doubles?
Sorry?
It looks like you're pretty keen to go. Are you going to play the mixed doubles?
I think there's no question about that.
We'll leave you to it. Good luck. Well done.
Yes, all tied up in Sydney as the play will go to the mixed doubles to decide this tie between Team Germany and Team Italy. Exciting times ahead as we head over to Perth, where it's very close indeed between Ube Erkac and Thiago Zajbovic. We'll take you there shortly. Let's get the reactions here, though, of the crowd in Sydney. And Alexander Zverev, always a favourite here, as he has clawed back for Team Germany into this tie. It was a wonderful performance from Italy's Jasmine Paolini to put Italy ahead, but Alexander Zverev has brought them very much back into this tie, and it's game on between Team Italy and Team Germany.